Hello, Something Guys and Gals. This is Something Guy 912, making another art architecture video in the middle of my Wednesday Season 2 analysis, as is customary for me to cover a TF2 map after covering a completed chapter of the respective Half-Life 2 maps. Rounding out the 5 CP maps of the original launch title maps after Well is CP_Granary, and after this map, I'll be covering CP_Gravel Pit before tackling the behemoth that will be TC_Hydro. Anyhow, let's delve into some map geometry once more. Alright, and now we are properly in game, and we got a lot of things to discuss, so let's not split any more hairs. So, starting off from the opening spawn point, we have these rockets here. Now, they obviously have this kind of poised in such a way as to, angle themselves upward to be launched from here. Unfortunately, that also means the clearance for these rockets would not match, and you can even see, like, for example, these rockets would be clipping into here if they were to go down this way. So they would have had to been placed specifically this way for it to make any amount of sense. And not to mention, like with CP_Well, these rockets, if they were to go off, would basically melt the ground below them because there is absolutely no clearance for their takeoffs. So, take that what you will. And then as we go out, we go up here, and we have this very peculiar little wall. Well, it's a wall on the blue side, but here it's just basically a fence. And I'm not sure what this is for. Obviously, this is just here for gameplay reasons, and that's about as far as it goes in terms of the logistics behind it. And now we have to address a particular elephant in the room regarding this map in particular. So, if we go out of bounds here, we have the statue commemorating Rick May. Now, Rick May is the voice actor, or was the voice actor for Soldier. He died 5 years ago, and there are a variety of TF2 maps that contain this statue. But then eventually they permanently fixed this onto Granary along with the rows of the headless corpses corpses of the Blue Mercs. That's what I meant to say, as a homage to the Meet the Soldier short. Now, I'm gonna have to be a little bit of a dick here because I do appreciate the tribute to this voice actor, but this is an architectural oddity because in universe this game is supposed to take place in the 70s or like late 60s, early 70s. Why would there be a statue of a real person who will die 50 years after the supposed events of this game? And like I said, I understand the sentimentality behind why they put this here. It just obviously is going to cause an incongruity with the rest of the game world. And kind of like, it's almost meta in a way. It kind of pulls you out from the game and like pulls you back into the real world in a way if you were to see this. Like, regardless of any like sentimental value. And this might be particularly controversial for me to say, which is ironic because 5 years ago in my timeline I made a little shit post using the voice of Soldier as a backdrop, and there were people who took it as me making fun of Rick May, who had recently passed away, when I wasn't making fun of him, I was making fun of Soldier, and more specifically furries. But that's kind of neither here nor there. That's just, I feel like I'm retreading on a potential controversy with my discussions about this. But that's basically all I have to say about that. So we will proceed to move on. So we have these two pipes that complement the red last, and these pipes basically go nowhere because their endpoints wouldn't really amount to much. So they're just literally here for the set dressing, and possibly just for trying to block out a line of sight. Notably with this catwalk / pipe fixture, you can see that it just ever so subtly clips into this tire here, which is interesting. And then we will move on to the left side of the gates into the intermediary area to the second point. We have this like a granary silo chute that is basically doing nothing Like, this doesn't go to anywhere, and it basically just leads into the ground this way. And another thing to point out about Granary is a lot of the out-of-bounds textures are actually quite well textured, because this area, for example, like, there's not, like, any weird oddities to it. And the reason for this is because in the Meet the Soldier short, he walks out through here and runs over to this capture zone. So they had to basically, I think what happened was they had to build this map for the short and then edit it in such a way for gameplay purposes after the fact. So it's interesting how that happened compared to some of the other maps where they probably just took pages from Team Fortress Classic and tried to fit it more into the Team Fortress 2 aesthetic overall. And we'll have more things to discuss about the Meet the Soldier short soon. Going back a little bit before we discuss the second point, something that caught my eye was there's a portion of this red barn that is completely untextured, and this part right here. Now, this would be normally forgivable, but if I was to go over here, I'm pretty sure, if I was the sniper here, hypothetically, I'm pretty sure you can see it. If I was to, or if I was like a rocket jumping soldier, I'd probably be able to see it from here. I don't exactly remember where the skybox is for this map, because I don't think you can get up on this pipe as a soldier. I think you can get up on this one, or maybe you can. I can't. It's been a while since I played Team Fortress 2 in general, or this map in particular, but I'm pretty sure you can see that. It's just interesting. It kind of reminds me of the little back room behind the teleporter in the D1 train station _04, where I discussed there was a portion that was like deliberately untextured that you could like see within the game bounds. Like, usually they make a good job of trying not to have that in the game. Anyway, we will move on. So we'll go up into the little balcony section, and of course, you know what I'm going to say, the rails just stop out of just arbitrarily. Now, of course, it stops because of gameplay, because they expect people to rocket jump up here, or scouts to double jump up here, or, you know, do some jumping tricks to get up here. I'm pretty sure you can even get up, I think you can jump up on these, this part to get up here on some other classes, but I could be wrong. And I think the lack of railings here is a little bit ironic, because going back a ways, we have this sign that says this job has worked 0 days. So I wonder if there's almost an acknowledgement that, like, how many safety hazards are present in the design of this room and the map in general. And then to the right here, we have the, I think this is called runway. I don't remember what they call it in competitive terms, but we have this long tunnel that goes into a drop down leading into the intermediary place between the second point and the central point. And I don't know what this would have served. Like, supposedly maybe like just a normal storage area, but like this drop down would imply that you would like dump grain down over here for a truck, which, you know, we have the road paving texture to imply a truck would stop here so somebody could dump something in it. But as to why it would be this long stretch of tunnel, I could not tell you why it would be designed that way. And then going off from there, we go to the left here, and we have the secondary spawn point for red if they capture the middle point. Now, what is interesting about this being the secondary spawn point for red is that, going back to the Meet the Soldier clip, you see a shot where the soldier kills a blue demo man from the top of this balcony, which means that the blue team, well, the problem with that is that only red can spawn in from here, no matter how many points blue has captured. But also, the soldier is taking the offensive to this point being his. So the implication in that short is that he's not so much attacking the point, but he's trying to stop blue from capturing it, since this is red's last point, not blue's last point. Although I'm pretty sure even in the short, it makes it seem as though he's going on the offensive rather than double backing on the defensive. So it's just interesting that way, where they clearly had the red side built, put the blue enemies where they wanted them to, and didn't really think of the blue side until after the fact. Because I'm pretty sure these shorts happened or occurred like either months or maybe even a year before the release of Team Fortress 2. But that's just more of a... I guess you could say it's a story incongruity, because there's a lot of things in the Meet the Team shorts that are pretty incongruous with how the game actually works. Like, for example, with the spy throwing his sapper at that sentry in the Meet the Spy short. You can't do that in-game. Although it would be cool if you could do that in-game, if there was like some kind of cooldown on using it, but of course you can't do that in-game. And additionally, with the side of this spawn point, we have this hay barrel chute, I guess. But the pipe does not end at the roof here, so I don't know how this would have been loaded up with hay for it to pull down from here. And then to the left of this yard area, we have more of these giant silos. And of course, you can see that they clip into this shed here. And interestingly, if I go up, we have this weird roof cover thing, which was a oddity that I always put attention to in the art architecture maps regarding Half-Life 2, because they had these all over the place. And the fact that it's so prolific makes me think that this is not like an oddity. This is like something that is like present in like silos of this, but I could be wrong. It could just be they just wanted to put that there to have some, I guess, break up the monotony of the silos, as it were. Speaking of breaking up things, there's things that kind of collide with other things as well. We have these containers, and as you can see, they also, ever so subtly, clip into the shutter or roof of this building here. And then we also have the... Now we can go into the intermediary areas to the third point. We have this doorway that leads into this small dock balcony thing. Now, of course, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense for this to be here, other than for the sake of gameplay. Like, you know, typically there'll be a blue soldier that'll come out here, peek the corner, shoot, or maybe even a sniper that'll peek the corner and shoot, however it may be, instead of having to funnel in down here into the yard and whatnot. And then, of course, we have this, I guess you would call it like a ramp stairway. Again, no rails, just multiple OSHA violations just waiting to happen. You know, somebody just accidentally trips, falls, and breaks their leg, or even worse, break their head on here and whatnot. And then we have this side passage. Like I said, I'm going to leave the central point for later after I cover the blue section. Something to consider about some parts of the central point in regards to red is we have this sign here that says elevator number 8. And I don't know what that's referring to. My guess was it might be referring to this small door on this side balcony, which also has no railings. In fact, it doesn't even really have any supports now I'm seeing it, so I feel like there'd be load bearing on the middle of this ramp here. Like, if there's enough weight on it, it would just break down and collapse. Unless it's like really, really durable steel. But I assume that this might be the elevator because of just how thin this door and this cabinet is here. Although as to what it would be elevating to, maybe this little section of the building here. Which, not to mention, we should also discuss that this tunnel, this small tunnel, is kind of intermixed with all of these giant silos, which obviously contain nothing, but they could contain something. But as to what, I don't know. But, you know, the map is called CP-Granary, so it would have as much granary silos as you can shake a stick at. And with that, we will move on to the blue section. Alright, and now we are on the blue side. Now, there are certain things that they definitely copy and pasted from the red side, but there were a few things about the blue side that did strike my curiosity. Now, one thing, for example, is these rockets here again. Now, of course, they have the same problem with their clearance, but they don't have the same problem with them potentially clipping against the roof here if they are supposed to be angled up. As you can see, there's a lot more clearance for them to, like, realistically be pointed upward this way, which I found interesting. Also, Blue doesn't have the weird untextured portion that you can see from the map. It still has a problem with the weird wall here, as well as the pipes leading to nothing. And this pipe and catwalk thing also doesn't have the problem of the clipping ever so subtly into the tire. So small things like that kind of make me wonder if they took notice of it and made small slight adjustments to it. Like Blue was like the revised version of the red side in that regard, in terms of just little things like that. And there's a few more regarding Blue we'll get into as we move on. Of course, again, no railings here, just to keep it with consistency in that regard. Of course, again, a little bit of a safety hazard. Again, we have the runway and this long hallway that I still don't really understand the purpose of. We'll go over here. We have Blue's secondary spawn point, and also this chute, although it has no hay on it. But this chute actually, continues up into the roof here, and you can even see like it kind of extends outward in a place you can't even see. But that they actually took into account, whereas the red side just kind of hangs. So hypothetically something could pour out from here in this manner. Let's see. Again, we have the same problem here with the clipping on the silos here. Although the containers here do not have the same clipping issue. As you can see, they do not collide. They're very close to one another, but they do not collide, like with the red containers earlier. Oh, that's right. I think on the red side, the containers also clip into this support for this pipe and catwalk here too. And it does so for the Blue side too. It's hard to tell. It's hard to see, really, but I think they do collide with one another on this side, but they don't clip onto the roof. And seeing as I kind of overlooked it, this catwalk and pipe that's kind of over the bounds here has no doorway on the other side here, so it's just a one-way doorway. And also, I'm kind of seeing that's kind of weirdly off. Wait, it's offset, and the sign for the door is backwards. So it makes me think, did they... Hold up, I gotta see this. I completely neglected this. Huh. But it doesn't say private on this one. It's also still weirdly to the left instead of more centered, but it is interesting that they they forgot to flip it right side, so it makes me think that they the other side of that door texture had private on it, but then when they flipped it, it was actually in reverse in that way, so that's just funny. Obviously, it'd be pretty hard to see it from here unless you're actively looking for it. Like, I guess you could see it from here. Yeah, like with in-game stuff in that regard, so it's just funny. Same issue with the weird balcony support thing, lack of rails here. And then, I think with that, we can actually discuss the central point. Now, the first thing to discuss is the central point. It has this small upraised ledge, and I have no idea what this small upraised ledge would have served. It's not a loading dock, because you're not loading stuff into it. It seems to be a complete construction of the capture zone, and nothing else. With these small ramps, the small little wooden stair wells or whatever, but that's as far as I can understand in terms of that being there. And then going back to the red side, we have this large garage with these set of containers, and as you can see, there's this noticeable gap here where hypothetically you should be able to just walk in, but of course I'm stuck on the bounding box here. And I think they could have tried to make the containers a little bit closer to one another in order to make it a little bit more believable that you couldn't, like, shimmy your way in between them this way. It's just really jarring gap here. And speaking of jarring, we have this upper section of a catwalk, and as you can see, we have a door texture that is way offset to the catwalk, and this is copy and pasted from the Blu Side as well. If oh, I guess Blu does not have that. Interesting. I thought Blu had that. Okay, well, never mind on that. But yeah, that's really glaring. Another thing to consider that's a bit interesting to me is that we have these windows on both sides of red and blue, and as you can see, red sides has a bunch of lights lit up windows, but Blue's does not a single one. And I don't know the implication of this. Maybe it's just to, I don't know, give more liveliness to the red side, since they're more kind of rustic, whereas Blue is a lot more industrial in terms of their design, and that's usually a consistent thing through most of the 5CP maps regarding red and blue. And speaking of these windows, some of these windows would not be doing much favors for anyone to look in or out. I think these ones in particular, because inside we have the third spawn point for red and or blue, and they are fixed with these containers that are clearly blocking sight of these windows, and it's the same on this side of the blue as well, as you can see. And then, of course, the last thing I have to discuss is the overall out-of-bounds geometry is fairly consistent, as you can see. There's not really too much nonsense going on. It feels like they put a lot of attention on the out-of-bounds area here, and I think that's probably because of the Meet the Soldier short, where a lot of it took place out of bounds from Granary, as opposed to within bounds for some of the other Meet the Team shorts. And with that, that is it for CP_Granary. And that was that for that map. And now with that out of the way, I am going to once again focus my efforts on my Wednesday Season 2 analysis. Hope this was entertaining for you nonetheless.